the end of Hector DAO or Hector Finance finally here? Can everyone invest and pretty much just kiss their money goodbye? Now, if we remove ourselves emotionally from this project and just take a look at what's going on, there are some serious glaring problems that I see. Now, I've got money invested in this project, but I'm gonna give you my real opinions and why I would caution others wanting to invest in this DAO or any other DeFi project at the moment. Now, here's the breakdown. We're gonna cover the good and then get into the ugly and then my personal warnings on this project. Now, we'll cover what went down with the Surtek audits, Hector DAO changes its name, the constant falling APY, the consequences of the Time Wonderland debacle, and its effects on the future of HEC. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you aren't a part of the Money Growth Academy team yet, so you don't miss out on our future content that we're covering. Now, Surtek audits. As of January 25th, the Surtek audit was completed. You can go to Hector's Medium article or Surtek's website and download the PDF of their findings. Now, in good news, there weren't any major risk or errors. And of the errors that did exist, the team has now corrected them. Now, I did like that the team took the time in their Medium article to break down some of the findings within the Surtek report and what they meant, as well as the remedies to those issues. Now, you can take the time and go through it all. Some of it's pretty technical jargon, but in summary, according to them, investors' funds are safe view, which just means safe. Now, the completion of this audit definitely bodes well for showing the legitimacy and security of the project, but to me, it still doesn't necessarily instill the trust they say it should. And I'll talk about that a little later when we discuss the debacle of Wonderland time and the idea that the HEC team should dox themselves. So let's get into that Hector DAO name change. In HIP 018, the team proposed to change the name of Hector DAO. Now, this was obviously as a result of what went down with Wonderland time and the negative connotations that the word DAO has begun to hold. Now, the proposal from the team was Hector, but in a 73% to 26% vote, the community voted for Hector Finance as the final name. Now, I think the name change was a good idea, especially since the 2022 roadmap included a lot of concepts that did not deal with being a DAO, for example, Hector Game, Hector NFT, Hector Dex, and so on. I also like Hector Finance over just Hector because it's very descriptive as to what the company is involved in. But to be very clear, a simple name change is not going to be what it takes to save this dying project, guys. So what about that falling APY and what does it mean for everyone? Now, let's get into this insane falling APY. I know first off that a lot of you out there got into the project as a result of the astronomical APY that the project was promoting in the beginning, and I'm not hating on you for that, and I'll explain why. But in recent weeks, the APY has dramatically tanked. On January 5th, HIP 11 vote closed, which reduced the APY to 10,000% over the coming 3 weeks. Then on January 27th, HIP 17 closed its voting to once again lower the APA to what the team deemed was actually sustainable, and they gave investors 2 options to vote on. The first option being a fixed APY of 500% for a 2-month period, or option 2, a dynamic APY ranging from 200% to 1500%, and 88% of people voted for the dynamic APY in hopes that the APY would be set at 1500%. No surprise here, but it then ended up falling hard to 200%, where it's been hovering ever since. So here's a question that someone asked in the latest AMA, and this is how HEC actually answered it. Now, the question was, what do you believe is attracting new investors to Hector at the moment, as APY reduction no longer attracts the APY chasers and bank? From my point of view, doesn't necessarily add anything unique per se. Please don't get me wrong. I've been here since November and don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Becoming deflationary is great for supply. I'm trying to look at it from the demand side. And here's how they answered that. As we've seen across the markets, insanely high APYs are not sustainable. So APY chasers will no longer be as interested in Hector Finance, and this is fine. I think the major value propositions right now are non-exhaustively pricing in for ecosystem developments like Tor, Bank, Launch, etc. Then the continuous buying pressure of buyback burns for deflation. And third, driven by the utility of the HEC token, which will increase over time. APYs won't be the only benefit to holding HEC. Now, this response from HEC seems a little misleading to me, to be honest. Everyone's complaining about the people who came into the project for the high APYs, and now everyone is hoping that HEC's gonna attract the right investors. And I just don't see that happening as a result of how the foundation of this DAO was built in the very first place, guys. So let's go back to the very beginning. HEC needs to be honest with the situation and own up to that they created the mess we are in. The vast majority of investors came into this project for the high APY. HEC literally had a Roadster calculator tool that calculated how long until you could purchase a Tesla Roadster. So come on now. The tool would give you a sliding scale of what ifs. If you invested $1,000 in a year, you would have enough for one Roadster or two. It was a purposely built emotional marketing tool designed to hype APY chasing investors up, which, to be honest, they stole this concept from Time, who had a Lambo calculator on their site. So how are you going to say in your response, quote, "As we've seen across the markets, insanely high APYs are not sustainable, so APY chasers will no longer be as interested in Hector Finance"? With that kind of tool, you're telling me the team wasn't aware of what kind of investors they were marketing towards? Simple math told you from the beginning that these APYs were unsustainable, but that didn't stop them from, in the very beginning, pushing them very, very hard and making that a central focus. They welcomed and wanted that quick money to flood in to build their foundation to launch off. And now everyone's wondering why that foundation is all of a sudden crumbling from underneath. It's crumbling because they built their foundation on the back of APY chasing investors. Since that is who they were marketing towards, let's not lie about that or act surprised that this is going on. Now, all of a sudden, the team and others invested in HEC want to complain that the project was flooded by these APY chasers. Well, guys, duh. That's who they market it to. You build a lot of your marketing on the back of this promise of high APYs, and people told their friends to come in because of high APY, so don't lie. So for all the investors on Discord always slamming the APY chasers and blaming them, don't be mad at them. Get mad at the HEC team because they were the ones who initially marketed HEC as a great APY earning DeFi project. That's like getting mad at your dog because it ate a peanut butter treat that you were waving right in front of its nose, and then you're surprised that it actually eats it. So we've now seen a few massive APY reductions, and during the AMAs, investors were told they should vote in favor of reducing their potential holdings because they would see a correlated coin price increase. But after the passage of the vote and the implementation, the price then halved. Then once again, investors were told to vote in favor of reducing their earning potential, and as a result, the coin price would increase. Surprise, surprise, it ended up once again halving. Now, as investors or potential investors in HEC, you need to remember that as smooth-tongued or well put together the team presents themselves, and whatever cool graphics or projections or hype they put into their AMAs, they don't know what's going to happen. They don't have a crystal ball, and at the end of the day, they're managing an experimental DeFi project. Now, I mention all this because the Hector DAO marketing team has been able to interact with the investors and build a really loyal investor base that I'm actually a part of, that I believe lets emotion trump logical reasoning many times. When I'm in the Discord group chats, it appears that these loyal investors get very defensive about challenging the HEC team. Guys, they may have cool names like Prometheus, but they aren't gods. Therefore, their guess on the future is as good as anyone out there. What are your guys' thoughts when it comes to this falling APY that they've been promoting before? Now, leave a comment down below. You don't have to agree with me. If you think differently, I just want to see everyone's perspective, though, as to what's going on and how you guys personally feel about everything going on with Hector. So, is the APY going to continue to fall? Well, once again, like I just said, I don't have a crystal ball. They don't have a crystal ball. But currently, at the time of filming, the APY is 234%. Now, this exact question was asked in the most recent AMA, and this was the response. Here's the question. Has the team worked out at what APY the DAO would not be deflationary? And here's the response coming from the HEC team. It depends a lot on price as well as APY. Right now, 200% is a good range at current prices to allow us to remain deflationary. But as price rise, the cost of those buyback and burns rises too. So APY may need to fall slightly, or TOR may need to expand. Okay, we'll talk more about that as we cross that bridge. In either scenario though, HEC holders will benefit. Either there's a higher price win or a higher APY also win. TOR's expansion will happen in either case, win-win. But guys, now like I mentioned earlier, within such a short time frame, the project went from 10,000 APY to 200%. Now, I'm not going to be surprised to see it drop even more in this coming month. So what about that Wonderland debacle? If you aren't aware with what went down with Wonderland time, you can check out our video right here where Caden goes into depth on what's going on over there. That's a whole mess you guys need to check out if you've been interested in that project. But in summary, Wonderland's treasury manager, who went by Sifu, actually turned out to be Michael Patron of failed Quadriga CX exchange, who's a former convict who did time for bank fraud. Now, once the news was released, the token tanked 40% and slumped to more than 95% from its all-time high, landing around $300. Now, with the news out there, it then came to light that Daniel, the other co-founder of the team, knew about Sifu's identity an entire month before it became public, but that he didn't believe any action needed to take place, and he believed in second chances. Now, rather than be upfront with the investors of time and hold a vote, he instead withheld that information until it was leaked to the general public. Then he held a vote and they exiled him. So why is this also significant and how does it impact HEC? Daniel was seen as a very, very trustworthy individual in the space and was a ray of hope for DAOs. He was already known as a reputable person in the crypto space. And yes, the APY was insanely high for the project, but people felt they wouldn't be rugged since the founder was doxxed and was reputable. So why should all the investors in HEC blindly trust a full team of members who are not doxxed? Are they KYC'd? Yes, but being KYC'd and doxxed are not the same at all. I find it extremely fishy that with the collapse and mistrust of Wonderland, the HEC team walks away from that and says, I know the answer on how to keep this from impacting our DAO. We're going to change our name from Hector DAO to Hector Finance. Now, the better approach in order to instill trust among the investors would have been to dox themselves to tamper down fear and mistrust. Look, I really like the HEC team and been impressed with them, but if we're being honest, why should I just trust them? What sketches me out is if someone as reputable as Daniel, who's already doxxed, could mess up like that, why wouldn't something like that be able to happen at HEC? For God's sake, guys, look at how sketchy CEOs of some of the largest banks in the world are, and they're fully doxxed and still end up in all kinds of scandals. So what is the likelihood that someone within the Hector team, all of whom operate in the dark of anonymity, ends up doing something scandalous? Human nature unfortunately shows that something like that is just bound to happen. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope they can prove me wrong. But human nature says otherwise. Now, if the team really believed in the future of HEC Finance and wanted to seriously attract a new breed of serious, stable investors, they would dox themselves so there's accountability and transparency within the project. If you disagree, give me a good reason down in the comments why they should honestly stay anonymous. And don't throw around any conspiracy theories and reasons that the CIA or Illuminati or the boogeyman's gonna assassinate them. That's just a bullcrap reason that a lot of these DAO founders love to hide behind because people eat up that conspiracy crap and it allows them to pull off these rug pulls. Seriously, think about it though. Daniel of Wonderland Time has created a top performing ohm fork that everyone else has essentially built off, and it's generated hundreds of millions in its treasury and no one has assassinated him. So that excuse just doesn't work anymore, guys. So why don't they hold a HIP vote and ask the investors if they would want them to dox themselves or not? You say you're for the community, so guys, put your money where your mouth is. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you want them to dox themselves? Do you think it's a good idea? If not, why not? And I'm gonna release a video here soon where I'm gonna show you guys how much I've lost in this project. And once again, all these projects are experimental, and these video series should not be taken as financial advice. The purpose of these videos on this channel is to be a starting point for you to begin your own research and make your own financial decisions. Just make sure that you're all careful with any of these ways in which you can make money in the Web 3.0 sphere. It's a very temperamental space to be in right now. And yes, some people, they've hit the lottery and they've made a lot of money in this space. But there's a whole lot more people out there, just hop on Reddit, who have lost a lot of money. So guys, make sure to do your research and don't ever invest money you can't afford to lose. If you want to know about traditional investing approaches and more stable APYs historically for your money, check out our channel, MGA Investing, where Daryl breaks down a series of strategies behind investing into stocks. Now, you can find that link in the description, or you can find it in our other channels tab on our homepage. Also, make sure that you subscribe because we're going to be releasing a bunch of content for entrepreneurs out there trying to start a business and make money. And it's just going to be invaluable advice, guys. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.